is my first visit actually to UN City in this capacity as Deputy High Commissioner, and we have one of our important headquarters locations here in Copenhagen. So it was an important opportunity for me to come and see the team, have a chance to meet with the other agencies. We'll have a chance a little bit later to go and see our important Government of Denmark counterparts and have an opportunity really to see what happens here in terms of our headquarters functions and in terms of the future of the agency. We have several functions here. We have a very large private sector partnership section that is growing and in fact has found a really good foothold here in Copenhagen in terms of how it services the rest of the world, in terms of some of our operations to try to gain a lot of attention, advocacy, appreciation for what needs to happen very much in close partnership with corporations and businesses that not only want to support our work financially but want to help us find solutions to some of those really difficult issues that we're tackling in terms of the global forced displacement crisis. We also have important work being done currently on registration, which is a key protection tool for the organization and most importantly for the people that we support, the people of concern to us, refugees. Identity documents, data, how it is we actually capture some of the statistics and what's behind the numbers in terms of those 65 million people. That happens here in Copenhagen. And then, of course, our education unit. The education for kids is, of course, an important protection tool, but very important also for solutions in terms of children and what they may be able to seek, both as refugees, but most importantly, when they are able to go back home or find a new home elsewhere. So education is a key part of our function here. In close partnership with a whole lot of other agencies. Governments obviously are first and foremost those hosts that are actually managing the displacement, whether or not that's internally inside countries or when refugees flee to neighboring countries. A case like the Middle East, for example, when we see nearly 5 million refugees that have gone to places like Lebanon, Jordan, Turkey, Iraq, and Egypt. These governments obviously are at the front line of that response, and we as partners in UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, working with other UN agencies, but also we have over 900 partners worldwide working with us to provide everything from protection, basic assistance, trying to livelihoods, self-sufficiency, trying to find solutions when people can't go home, they're not able to integrate locally. And the third country resettlement option is a solution for so few that we try to work together to try to make people's lives better. Uganda, it was my first mission actually as Deputy High Commissioner, and I have to say it continues to hold a special place in my heart. They have some of the most progressive refugee policies on the globe in terms of the ability for refugees to move freely. They do not have a camp policy. Refugees are in settlements. They are able to, if they're farmers, have a small plot of land to be able to grow crops, be able to provide for their families. They're allowed to work. We have a model in Uganda in terms of not establishing parallel systems of support. So refugee children and Ugandan children go to school together, they go to the same health clinics together, and this is something that in terms of the long-term development of a country like Uganda, and they've done quite a bit of work to show that this is actually in Uganda's interest, not just the refugees' interest. Well, it's interesting because, of course, there was a declaration signed by 193 countries last September 19th at the UN Summit on Refugees and Migrants. The New York Declaration, we're calling it, that was then followed up the next day by a Leaders Summit. And at that Leaders Summit, several countries, not to mention Uganda, but several others, stepped forward and said, we too want to find more opportunities to educate refugee children. We want to find more opportunities for refugees to have employment when they're in displacement. And so we're starting to see some really concrete policy changes. And in fact, going back to Uganda for a moment, there have been several neighbors who have actually gone to Uganda to see how this policy works in practice in terms of implementation. I am, despite everything.